Cam, you have tentacles deep inside the right. What is going on between Christine Rankin and the Social Arthritis Party CNR? Alex Sweeney and Tembi Powell are also taking on CNR. Is there a split on the right, and why? We need to explain, of course, your dad actually is the president of the CNR, so you'll have an idea.
That's right. I don't believe there's a split on the right because they've never been together in order to be split.
So it was like a one-night stand, a political one-night stand?
Well, I don't even think the likes of Tenby Powell and some of the other... Alex Sweeney certainly has never been a member of CNR. So I don't think there's a split. I think there are a whole bunch of egos competing to see essentially who has the biggest dick.
Right. And who will win that?
The one with the biggest wallet, I guess.
Okay, so that's CNR?
I think CNR because they have a party ticket organisation behind them, very well organised, have been doing this forever, and that's what it comes down to with the Super City.
Why are the right splitting? Is it
again, it's egos. You've got a lightweight, political lightweight like Cameron Brewer, who's very good at talking on the radio about shopping in Newmarket, believing his own PR, thinking he can stand and do a good job as a councillor. Similar with Tenby Powell, whose biggest claim to fame is he's married to someone with a famous name.
Term the Super City Mayoralty, who will win, who will lose, and what will the win forebode for Auckland?
The last odds I put out were $1.50. This is in the TAB dollar odds. It would be $1.50. I don't know what I predict is doing. $1.50 that John Banks will be the mayor. $1.95 that Len Brown will be the mayor. $2.90 that anyone else will be the mayor.
I think those are pretty fair. Those are pretty good odds. At this moment, Len Brown made a complete arse of himself, really, over ridiculously silly amounts of money. It's not the amount of money; it's how he reacted to the amount of money. And
it was like John Banks with the whole Olympics when there was all of that.
Yes, exactly.
Just eating his own expenditure.
Exactly. It's not so much the what's revealed; it's how you react to that revealing. And standing in a council chamber and slapping yourself in the face on camera and then refusing to tell who was at a dinner that you're required to by council policy. Just ask more questions. People are going to say, who is it? Who was there?
Talking of Len, I actually bumped into him on Friday. I hosted a debate that he was on, and he.
You would have knocked him over, Bomber.
I told him that I was seeing you today, and he actually asked specifically, he said, "Can you please give Whale Oil one of my stickers?" So that's Auckland that he's done there. Do you like that?
Well, he's missing a part. If I was Connor Roberts and advising him, I would have put Auckland Bro on it, because that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to appeal to the brown population of South Auckland, but that's his problem. They're not going to go out and vote, and they're too lazy. They just won't do it.
In the way that you appeal to white people. Let's move on. Issue 2. News that a marriage of inconvenience is about to resurrect one of the great Molotov-Ribbentrop pacts of modern New Zealand political history, with Winston Peters and Michael Laws set to join forces once again. What would a Laws-Peters New Zealand First look like, and what are the ramifications for the political landscape? Tim, if you mix Winston Peters' brand of xenophobic nationalism with Michael Laws' brand of provincial talkback bigotry, it's like honeys for bees to old people, isn't it? New Zealand First would be back, aren't they?
If the national government seriously tinkered with superannuation, if they seriously started cutting back on the transport subsidies that they get on public transport,
Winston's bribe,
then yes, I would have suggested in the beginning that National bite the bullet and appoint the Winston, as High Commissioner to the Cook Islands. In the same way,
it's where all his money is.
To get him out and to completely inoculate him forever, because he took that from the National Party, effectively, it would neutralise him forever. They could have just forgotten about it, but they didn't. Now, it's true, they haven't touched superannuation, they haven't touched the transport subsidy, they haven't touched anything else, and in fact, in the budget, superannuitants weren't too badly affected. In fact, they were better off, basically. They might actually be better off, certainly than other beneficiaries, if you want to call them that.
They are beneficiaries.
Yeah, but the problem is with that he's right on the cusp of that generational wave that's coming, because at 65, which is next year, I think, all of those...
65 now.
Yeah, all of those baby boomers retire, and that's exactly his prime demographic for voting is coming on stream right now. So he's got a cusp. He either pulls out all the plugs and goes for it, and will get 5% maybe or else it's over for Winston.
Cam, John Key rode the high horse last election by ruling Winston out. On a recent breakfast interview with former National Party candidate Paul Henry, John Key didn't rule it out this election. Can National cut a deal? Would National cut a deal if New Zealand First went over 5%?
If they cut a deal with New Zealand First, that'll be the end of National.
Really?
Everyone knows Winston can't be trusted. For a start, we have to talk about the $158,000 he still owes New Zealand taxpayers. I don't think he should even be allowed to stand until that is paid back.
But politics is reality. If they get over 5%, are you seriously telling me that Mr. Deal Broker won't cut a deal?
Oh, he probably will, because we know that John Key is expedient when it comes to maintaining power, just as any politician is.
Right, so the reality is that they would talk about it.
I think they would,
And,
which is a shame, because he's perhaps one of the most corrupt politicians we've ever seen in New Zealand.
and what would the cost be for that deal?
Well, the cost is not to National, the cost is to the country.
Tim, what are the types of populist policies we can hope to see from Laws and Peter's blended New Zealand First?
Nationalistic type policies. I mean, the Green Party...
Fortress New Zealand.
Yeah, the Green Party are already on to restricting land ownership to New Zealanders only. They're in favour of a whole lot of things that would be seen as basic protectionism.
Fortress New Zealand.
In this day and age, versus what's happening in the rest of the world, like the EU winning losing a case in the WTO recently as far as the world goes. It is, trade liberalisation is occurring, and yet domestically, politically, I think, yeah, it will become more protectionist, and especially as the recession goes on, as things bite.
Yes.
What would Michael Laws be a minister of?
Michael Laws will be the Minister of making Michael Laws look good.
He's very good at that.
So a huge mascara budget.
Huge mascara. Would
Yes,
be looking at a
I
large
must point
mascara.
out that in the 90s he was at that stage writing speeches for Winston Peters. I do well remember his mascara running one rainy night in Mount Eden War Memorial Hall. So I hope the mascara budget is waterproof mascara.
You're a kind man. Tim, who wins and loses if New Zealand gets over 5%?
If New Zealand First gets over 5%, then Phil Goff could seriously be the Prime Minister.
And that's a scary
Seriously. I mean, he is a contender. If they get to 5%, there is no way that National will be in a position without serious and substantial support from absolutely everyone else.
Depends on how that Fortress New Zealand vote falls, because we've got the Greens currently soaking up the Fortress New Zealand. You know, thou shalt not sell anything to anybody who speaks in a funny language. But if New Zealand
for New Zealanders. Yeah.
Said with an Australian accent.
Said with an Australian
Dr. Russell Norman. Yeah.
Yes,
That's the irony. Yeah,
However,
yeah,
they're soaking that up at the moment. That's what's keeping them up there, is that Fortress New Zealand mentality. If New Zealand First comes in, then that could bleed a little bit of support off those Greens.
Would it also
Right.
take votes off ACT though? I mean, you talk about a very redneck reactionary talkback. They lack this stuff up.
Well, you're assuming that ACT doesn't come out with their own reactionary politics. Remember, they don't need to appeal to 20% of the population. They only need to appeal to 3, 4, 5%.
And they're aiming lower, aren't they? Every year they aim lower.
But you can
go to another,
more niche.
But they can afford to piss people off.
And they do. Coming up, 90,000 secret US military documents released on WikiLeaks paints a bleak picture. Should we still be giving war a chance? Citizen A is back after the break.